The Aviary is an ad hoc UFO working group which has served as an information channel between military intelligence self-appointed keepers of the facts, so-called Majestic 12 or MJ-12, and the civilian UFO community, discussed in detail by Richard Boylan in issue 23 of Paranoia. In that interview, Boylan explained that the Aviary, which was formed in the 1970s, was made up of individuals with national security clearance who decided to share information in order to better understand the enigma of UFOs and ETs. Some of its members were pro-UFO disclosure and others were not. That's from the Aviary and the Eschaton in The New Conspiracy Reader, compiled by Al Hedel and Joan d'Arc. Hello and welcome to another edition of the Stench of Truth. Just something off the top of my head. Today I was thinking about a lot of the bogus bullshit information that's put out by various groups. One of the things that I could think of right on the top of my head is all these people who talk about the income tax is illegal. Don't pay your fucking taxes. It's illegal. Wasn't ratified. There's no law that says that you have to pay your taxes. And then there's the other people that say regain your sovereignty by declaring yourself independent from the state, and file these forms with the notary public that says that you're a free man living on common law and on the land, and you're not a citizen of the corporation of the United States. And also that your signature somehow, when you get official information, bills or whatever in the mail that's all in capital letters, that's a corporate you, and you're a different person that's a real human being, and all of this kind of shit. And there's a fundamental problem with all of that, and it's this. It doesn't fucking matter if the IRS was never actually made into law. It doesn't matter if it was not officially ratified. It doesn't matter if there's no law that says you have to pay taxes. It doesn't matter if that name on that bill is a corporate thing and you're an individual person. It doesn't matter if common law is something that should be adhered to. It doesn't matter. None of that shit fucking matters. The only thing that matters is what's enforced. And that brings me to the real issue here. Because you can't just say, I'm not going to pay my fucking taxes because the income tax is fucking illegal. Well, you may be 100% fucking correct. But the fact of the matter is, you get caught, you go to court, they will put you in fucking jail and make you pay the fucking money anyway. Okay? It's simple as that. Same thing with all this other bullshit. You don't pay your bills, they're going to come collect them. Just because you try to make some kind of argument that that's a corporate person and you're a free individual. Okay? All of those things are laudable to try to attain, but what is the fundamental underlying thing that connects all of this together? And that is that we have allowed our fucking rights to be abrogated by our institutions of authority, and that is the government. Okay? And because we have not stood up and fucking demanded that they give them back to us. They're not theirs to have, but they act like they can do it. And we let them. We have to stand up and say, you cannot take this right away from me. If we do not like the income tax, we have to do something to change it. If it is not a fucking law, we need it to be recognized as not being a fucking law. If you really are two people, you're a corporate person and a human being, then we need that to be fixed. What's the fucking problem here? The problem is that we have allowed ourselves to be trampled. we've allowed our rights, our free rights that we have inherent in ourselves, to be hidden, to be corralled, to be controlled by somebody else. What we need to do is step up and demand the rights that we already fucking have. Demand that our rights be fucking respected. Demand that the government abide by the rule of law and the Constitution and everything else. We need to quit sitting around trying to come up with other ways to do something that's desperately been fucking needed for years in this country. That is for people to finally say enough is a fucking enough. To say those rights are mine and you cannot cut them off. You cannot limit them. You cannot change them. You can't do anything to them because they're inherent to me as a human being. So quit trying to come up with gimmicks to get around the basic fucking facts. Are you afraid of your fucking government? Yes, and then there's the other argument. Doing something won't do any good because nobody ever listens. They work for big money in banks and international finance. Pick your poison. And once again, you may be 100% correct, and I believe you are. But the point of the matter is, you have no fucking right, you have no right to say anything unless you demand that the system be changed. And if the fuckers don't listen to everybody, then what does that mean? It's been proven. The basic premise has been laid out. They serve other masters than you. They don't give a shit about you. That means the government needs to be replaced. I'm not calling for revolution, but if it were to lead to that point, because people have finally become fed up with all of the bullshit that they have to deal with this government, then I'd be all for it. But don't even think about getting out your guns and trying to do something stupid with you and your militia buddies until you have tried to change things by becoming active and trying to change the things that are important to you. And I've talked about this before, and I'll talk about it again, because it is a very important fucking issue. There are a lot of people who just want to go along to get along. And they think, well, if I just stay here hidden in the side somewhere, no one's going to notice me, you know, I pay my bills, I do my thing or whatever. And yet, those very same people are going to bitch and fucking cry about every motherfucking thing that happens to them without taking one fucking step to try to make things different. And this has been going on for generations in this fucking country. We've had a gradual whittling away at the precious freedoms that we have, that no one has a right to take or touch or change or alter in any fucking way. So step the fuck up. If you're not going to be forward enough, if you're not going to have enough guts to step up and tell the government to shove it up their ass when they're trying to tell you to do something that you know is not right, that you do not want to be subjected to, then you need to get out there, you need to become active, and you need to make sure your voice is heard. And if it isn't, then you take it to the next level. But you got no right to do anything unless you become active. You find out they don't listen to you, or they do. One or the other. But quit your fucking crying until you decide something has to be done. I've reached my limit. This is my turning point, and this is where I make my stand. Prevent the fucking slide anymore in your life. Only then will you be able to gain some measure of control over what goes on in your life, and only then can you move on to the next level. Thank you.